So about 3 weeks ago, I made a video on this channel talking about the divergence that we were spotting between the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones. In that video, we were looking at the downside that we've been seeing on the tech stocks, but we weren't seeing that same downside on some of the Dow stocks. Stocks like UNH, stocks like Home Depot, like Lowe's, like Pepsi, some of those safety names, they were not moving lower with the tech sector, and this is something that I wanted to point out about 3 weeks ago in the video that I made. Now, after making that video and having that information about the market, I started to look around at some potential upside outperformance plays on some Dow stocks, and I found Home Depot. Last week, I spotted a very nice demand hold on Home Depot, a very nice break and retest on the Dow Jones, and along with that, a good earnings report from Lowe's, a competitor of Home Depot. And with all that information, it made me confident to open a swing trade from last week into this week. And in today's video, I want to go ahead and review that trade. This was the largest swing trade that I've taken in 2022 in regards to position size, and so far it has been a fantastic trade, and I want to go ahead and review it with you guys today. So after watching today's video, if you do enjoy it, if you learn something from it, a little bit about market divergence, looking for those strong sectors and looking for that outperformance, make sure to press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So I want to start today's video by once again sharing with you guys what this divergence looks like. What was I talking about in that video 3 weeks ago at the time of recording, which was October 27th. That was when I published this video. That is right here. So October 27th was right here. This was where the Dow Jones was trading, which is the colored graph on your chart, the colored candles on your chart. And this is where the NASDAQ was trading, down here on October 27th. And you can see the gap that we started to see between the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ. We started to see the Dow Jones accelerate to the upside while the NASDAQ continued to trade sideways. That was back on the 27th of October. Now, even from the 27th of October to today, we have continued to see that outperformance. It has not slowed down. So we have continued to see the Dow Jones push to the upside while the NASDAQ has stayed relatively sideways. Now, this is very important. This is something that I don't see get talked about a lot on the market, something that maybe some people don't pay attention to. But if you watch my channel, I try to educate and try to get people to look at more than just what zero DTE options should I trade, how much should I put in my position. There's a lot more to the stock market than these rudimentary questions. There is market behavior, there is market participation, there's a lot going on. What's hot, what is cold, what's outperforming, what sectors are strong, right? And you can see right here that the Dow Jones strength has been very apparent. And if you've been comparing these two indices, it has been a very large opportunity for you to be taking advantage of. So I just wanted to go ahead and start today's video with that little analysis, share with you again that market divergence is continuing. The Dow Jones once again had a very big day. It is continuing to the upside while the NASDAQ has been it hasn't really been doing much. It's been pretty sideways, not a lot of strength there on the tech stocks, but those Dow stocks have been continuing higher, and it's something to be paying attention to. So now that we saw that divergence on the market, I want to jump into the Dow on a little bit more of a short term, share with you what I saw over the last few weeks that made me bullish on the Dow for continuation, and then we'll jump into Home Depot. We'll share the entries, the exits, the entire swing trade that I took, and the reasons behind it. So here on the Dow, if you guys come to the pre-market live streams, if you pay attention to the analysis that I provide, the 33,320 level was a level that I was watching for the Dow to hold on to. This was a previous rejection point back here on the, this is back on October 26th. And then if we zoom in here, let's go ahead and zoom in on the 4-hour chart. You can see that this was, again, another rejection point here on the market. This was back here. This was on November 8th. So back on November 8th, again, we had that same rejection point, 33,320. So I was looking to see, can the Dow Jones hold on to this level after pushing through it, right? We got a big push through this level after CPI. You guys can see if I zoom in a little bit closer, this was our CPI move to the upside. And after getting that upside, I wanted to see if we could pull back, hold that level, and turn it into a new demand. Now you can see here on the 4-hour chart, we have pulled back to that level multiple times, and we have turned it into somewhat of a short-term demand. And I've been talking about this level for the last few weeks, saying that as long as the Dow is above this retest level, then I think that there is potential continuation. If we go down to the hourly chart, we can get a little bit of a closer look at this. Over the last few weeks, you guys can see that we have pushed higher above that 33,320, the previous rejection point before CPI. We held it here on the same day of CPI, came back down to it here, held it as support, came back down to it again, found a very strong support level there again, and after seeing these continued holes here at 33,320, I decided that it would be a good time to go ahead and take my shot on a risk-reward trade to the upside. My risk is that the Dow breaks down. My reward is that we hold this retest and continue higher, which we definitely went ahead and saw today. Now, if I'm looking at the Dow Jones, if I'm looking at this outperformance and this break and retest that I want to potentially trade on this indice, I need to be looking at some stocks that are large players within the Dow and also have setups on their individual stock charts that I like as well. Home Depot being one of the largest players within the Dow Jones, I was definitely looking around at some stocks, and that was one that I did find. I found a nice setup, a break and retest. So let's go ahead and break down that specific trade now. So guys, here is Home Depot on the daily chart, and let's go ahead and start to break down some of the things that I was spotting here on Home Depot and why I started to get interested in this trade. Again, as you always hear on this video, the break and retest, whether it's for short-term trades, whether it's on the longer-term time frame, which is here on the daily chart, I am always looking for this technical setup and will always look to put risk on any type of strong retest trade that I find. And here is another example on Home Depot on the daily chart, showing you how this break and retest strategy can be used across all different time frames, not just the shorter term time frame for scalp trades, but also on the longer term time frames for potential swing trades. So back here on November 10th, you guys can see we got that large move higher on Home Depot. Now this large move higher was due to CPI. We saw a big upside move across all of the market, and this was part of the reason why Home Depot moved above this rejection point of around $303 per share. You can see we had a previous rejection here of Home Depot, and we had another previous rejection right here on Home Depot. After getting above that level, above 303, I wanted to see if that level could turn into a support. I was looking for Home Depot to pull back, retest that 303 level, see if it would hold on to it, and if it does, that is a bullish break and retest for more upside. That is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a previous rejection point, in this case a double top rejection point, to turn into a support. If a double top rejection point turns into a support, then that is a bullish setup, and that is something that I want to be looking for upside with a good risk to reward with my stop loss under that level. So you can see here on the daily chart, now that we talk about it about a week later, you can see we broke higher, we pulled back, held the retest of 303, and continued higher off that move. So if we go ahead and break this down a little bit closer, let's go down to the hourly chart and look at what Home Depot has been doing over these last few days. We can see that Home Depot has pushed higher above that 303 retest, pulled back to it, held it very nicely here, even after their earnings report. You can see we moved lower into their earnings report, which was right here on Tuesday of last week. We held up on that level even after earnings and continued to consolidate above that previous retest level, which we just talked about on the daily chart. On Wednesday of last week, after seeing Home Depot hold this level once again, I started to gain confidence that this retest level would attempt to hold on, and after knowing that that divergence on the Dow was continuing to see that strength on the Dow Jones versus the tech stocks, it gave me that confidence to open this trade. So you can see here we had a nice hold above that 303 retest. We continued to wick higher off that 303 retest level. That was the previous rejection point we just talked about on the daily chart. We held up that level after the earnings report that Home Depot had. We had divergence on the Dow, we had strength on the Dow, and the last piece to the puzzle was the Lowe's earnings, their competitor, that I was waiting to see if it came out, was it a positive earnings? Would Lowe's give some upside momentum to a stock that is very similar to Home Depot? That is something that I want to be looking at as well, and we can go over to the Lowe's chart. We can see that Lowe's reported earnings on that Wednesday. You can see we had an upside move on Lowe's into a rejection point. I was just sort of focused on whether Lowe's was a positive report. It was a positive report. The market did like it. We did pull back off that rejection point, but overall we did not tank on Lowe's earnings. I believe that would have brought Home Depot down with it. So I wanted to wait to see if that would be a positive report. On Wednesday, the 16th of November, that is when I went ahead and I took this position that is on this day right here, and I have been holding it ever since. I'll pop up the entry on the screen for you guys to see. You can see I took a December call option. I took 10 contracts, and the reason I took that December trade is because I wanted to give it a little bit of time, knowing that Home Depot is not a major mover, knowing it's not something I want to be so focused on an intraday basis. I was more focused on giving myself some time and letting this trade set up. So you'll see there on my entries and exits that I actually started to scale scale out on the same day that I entered, and this was because on the 16th of November, after entering this trade, I actually got a really big move in my favor. So if I go over to the 16th, which was right here, this is the 16th of November, I started to get in here early morning on Wednesday the 16th, and I already got a very big move on that day. I was already up a few $100, and I wanted to start to scale out some profits there, so I did take some risk off on that day, knowing that if I did scale out, took some profits, made a lot of this position basically risk-free, then I can continue to hold on for some more contracts if it starts to consolidate, if we have a little bit of downside. That is why I continued to scale out of this position. If we zoom back out, we can see we did sort of consolidate over the last few days, but we continue to make higher lows and higher highs. And today was the day that Home Depot finally broke out and we started to really get those contracts moving higher in premium. Now I'm going to pop up on the screen all of the analysis that I did every single day while I was in this swing trade for the Discord community. Continued to sort of break down what I was looking for on Home Depot, break down the strength that I was seeing on the Dow, and just sort of outlining and game planning this position. I'll go ahead and pop it up for you guys to see, to sort of get a feel for what I was doing during this trade and the analysis that I was providing. So as of today, I've locked in all but one contract on Home Depot. I've locked in about $4,000 worth of gains and continue to hold one contract to see if there's any potential upside. This move today was really all I was looking for. If I go out to the 4-hour chart, we can see that I was really looking for that breakout of this 316, looking for that push, but I am a little bit concerned about this rejection up here, right? So in my eyes, this trade is pretty much over. I was looking for a nice hold of that retest, looking for that continuation up into the next rejection level, and we are pretty close to that level. So if you're watching this now, looking to see if this is a new trade entry to take, I would probably advise against it. There is a rejection point up here around 328, 330 that I would be careful of. If Home Depot pulls back, if it retests this previous breakout point, then we might be able to see another entry point back here at this previous high, turn that previous high into a support, and see if there's another entry off that low. So to wrap up today's video, guys, really, once again, it's the break and retest. It does it again. It's a longer term break and retest. It's a larger term time frame, but the strategy works the same. Looking for those previous rejection points here at 303, seeing that we broke above it, pulled back to it, held it as demand, knowing that the Dow Jones was strong, diverging against the NASDAQ market, knowing that the stock that I was entering, which is Home Depot, was a large part of the Dow and was part of the outperforming indice, and then finally seeing that strength on the Lowe's earnings report, giving me confidence to enter this trade, scaling out as I got my profits, taking risk off as I got the move in my favor, letting a few ride, and finally today, I get the big move in my favor, and I can lock up majority of my profits. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you guys took this trade with me, if you're part of the Discord community where I posted this entire trade setup, congratulations on this one. This was a very nice setup. Once again, that break and retest worked for us. Paying attention to that market divergence was very important. So if you guys caught that, congratulations as well. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to stay tuned, make sure to stick around to the live streams every single morning starting at 8 a.m. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.